Okay, so get this. Today, we're diving deep into AI.
AI.
Yeah, AI, but like the really cool stuff. Specifically, we got to talk about Google's latest thing, Gemini.
Yeah, Google's been pretty busy lately, haven't they? Every day it seems like something new.
It's like they're trying to make sci-fi a reality.
Right. And Gemini. It's
Yeah,
like straight out of a movie, except it's real.
exactly. So for anyone who somehow missed it, what is Gemini?
Well, officially they're calling it the most capable and general-purpose AI model family.
Model family. Okay, now I'm lost.
Sorry, yeah, that's a lot of jargon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, it means they've got different versions of Gemini.
Ah, okay. So like different flavors for different tasks.
Exactly. But general purpose, that's the key here.
Meaning.
You know how most AIs are good at, like, one thing? Playing chess or writing poetry, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So hyper specialized.
Right. Gemini, it's like the opposite,
It can do it all.
basically.
Yeah.
We're talking text, code,
Yeah.
images, you name it.
Hold on. Images too. So it's not just processing language.
Nope. This is what they call multimodal.
Meaning.
It understands all these different types of information, but more importantly, it can blend them together.
Okay, example time, because now my brain is officially broken. What does any of that look like in the real world?
Okay, so imagine this. You feed Gemini a picture, right? Not just any picture. Let's say it's one of those starling murmurations, the birds.
Yeah, picturing those swirling flocks, yeah.
So they feed it this image, and get this, it generates computer code that simulates that flocking behavior
No way, seriously?
from a single image.
That is bonkers. Like, what are the implications of that?
Endless, right? Design, engineering, art, anything you can imagine.
It's like goodbye artists block. But like also, hello, AI art critics.
That's a whole other can of worms. But you're right, the creative possibilities are endless. And remember that octopus example?
Oh, yeah. The one with the colorful tentacle.
Someone just casually asked for some creative ideas, and Gemini's like, how about an octopus with blue and pink tentacles? And then, boom, generated an image of it.
That's kind of adorable.
Right.
But also, like, it came up with an original idea.
That's the thing with Gemini. It's not just following instructions, it's creating.
It's getting into, dare I say, creative territory.
Maybe. And don't forget, it's multilingual, too. Understands different languages like it's nothing.
And musical notation. It can read sheet music like it's English or something.
It's wild. Talk about flexible.
Okay, I gotta ask. Everyone's hyping this up. So what makes it so different from anything else we've seen?
That is the question. And part of it comes down to its context window.
Context window. Lay it on me.
Think of it like short-term memory. The larger the window, the more info the AI can handle at once. And Gemini's huge. Up to 1 million tokens for some versions.
1 million. Okay, help me wrap my head around that. What does that mean practically?
Okay, most language models, they can only juggle a few thousand tokens at best. Gemini. This thing could read a novel, watch hours of video, and actually keep up with the plot.
So it's not just reading words, it's understanding the big picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nuances, context, the whole shebang.
Whoa. That is a game changer.
And the crazy part, Google's still improving it. Constantly.
I saw that. Those benchmark scores are through the roof. General knowledge, coding, math. It's like Gemini's on a rocket ship.
And it's only getting smarter. It's incredible to witness, really.
All right, so we've established that Gemini is insanely powerful, but like, how is Google actually using it? Is this just a research project or is it out in the wild?
Oh, it's out there. And that's where things get really cool.
You tell.
Well, the most direct way to experience it is through the Gemini app itself. Think of it like a super-powered chatbot on steroids.
Okay, so I can just chat with it, ask it questions, and it'll give me answers, write code, all that jazz.
Exactly. Your own personal AI assistant, but way more sophisticated.
And what about for those of us who practically live in Google Workspace?
Good news. Gemini's already being integrated into Gmail, Docs, and Sheets.
Talk about productivity on another level.
Right? Imagine drafting an email and having Gemini suggest different writing styles.
Or having it analyze a massive spreadsheet for you and pull out all the important insights.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Love that. Okay, so for the gadget lovers out there, what about phones? Any Gemini action happening there?
You bet. The Pixel 8 Pro. That's the first smartphone rocking Gemini Nano, the super efficient version we touched on earlier.
So on-device AI, no need to rely on the cloud for everything.
Yep. Real-time language translation, voice assistants that actually get you personalized health tracking.
Yeah.
The possibilities are pretty much endless. And those are just a few examples. Google's also weaving Gemini into Chrome, their ad platform, Google Cloud, even Android app development, it's everywhere.
It's like they're betting the farm on Gemini being the thing that powers the next generation of their products.
It's a good bet, honestly. Think about it. Multimodality, understanding A&D, generating all sorts of content.
Oh, yeah.
It has the potential to revolutionize how we interact with technology.
That's a bold statement.
But think about it. This isn't just about making things a little faster and more efficient. This is about changing how we work, how we create, how we communicate. It's a fundamental shift.
Okay, so you've convinced me. Gemini is the future, but with great power.
Comes great responsibility.
Exactly. What are the potential downsides? What should we be keeping an eye on as this technology evolves?
You're hitting on the really important stuff now. Because with any tech this powerful, we have to talk ethics. And Google's aware of that. They've said they're putting Gemini through rigorous testing to make sure it's not biased or spewing out harmful stuff.
That's good to hear, because AI is only as good as the data it's trained on, right? Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. So transparency about that training process, about how they're checking for bias, that's crucial. Because this isn't just about building cool tech, it's about making sure that tech is used responsibly. For good, not for harm.
It's a conversation we all need to be having, not just in Silicon Valley, but everywhere.
Absolutely. We need to be informed so we can ask the right questions and make sure AI is used to make the world better, not worse.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. We've talked about what Gemini is, its capabilities, the potential benefits, and even the ethical considerations. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
We need to dig into those real-world applications a little deeper.
because seeing is believing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's jump into some specific examples of how Gemini is already being used today and what it could mean for the future.
Okay, so last we left off, we were blown away by all the cool things Gemini can do.
And believe me, we're just scratching the surface.
So where do we go from here? How do we go from these, like, theoretical superpowers to actually using Gemini in the real world?
Well, the good news is you don't have to wait for the future. People are already using Gemini in some pretty amazing ways.
All right, spill the tea. What kind of real-world magic are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, there's the Gemini app itself. Think of it like having a super smart sidekick in your pocket, ready to tackle any task you throw at it.
Okay, that sounds pretty vague. Give me the specifics. What can I actually do with this app?
You can have conversations with it, just like you would with a human. Ask it questions, bounce ideas off of it, even get creative and see what kind of wild stuff you can come up with together.
So it's like a chat bot, but on steroids.
Exactly. But it's more than just a chatbot. It can generate different creative text formats like poems, code, scripts, musical pieces, email, letters, etc. And it will try its best to fulfill all your requirements.
It can write poems?
And musical pieces. Try it out.
Okay, this is already blowing my mind. But what about those of us who are, like, glued to our Google Workspace apps all day?
Well, get ready to have your mind blown even further, because Gemini is already integrated into Gmail, Docs, and Sheets.
No way. Seriously. Tell me more about this, because I live and breathe Google Workspace.
So imagine this. You're writing an email, and you're stuck on how to phrase something. Just ask Gemini for suggestions, and it'll offer different options, all tailored to your writing style.
It's like having a personal editor on call 24/7.
Exactly. Or let's say you're staring at a massive spreadsheet trying to make sense of all the data. Just ask Gemini to analyze it for you, and it can pull out key insights, trends, even create visualizations to help you understand it all at a glance.
Okay, now that is what I call a game changer. It's like having an AI assistant that can handle all the tedious stuff, freeing you up to focus on the bigger picture.
Precisely. It's all about working smarter, not harder.
Preach. Okay, so we've covered the app and workspace integration, but what about the phone? Is Gemini making its way onto our mobile devices?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the Pixel 8 Pro is the first smartphone to feature Gemini Nano built in. It's like having a mini version of Gemini right there in your pocket, always ready to go.
So we're talking on-device AI, no need to rely on the cloud for everything.
Exactly. And that opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Think real-time language translation as you're talking to someone. Imagine a voice assistant that actually understands you, not just responds to keywords.
It's like having a universal translator straight out of Star Trek.
Pretty much. And because it's all happening on your device, it's super fast, super private, and super convenient. And the best part is, this is just the beginning. Google's already working on integrating Gemini into even more of its products and services.
So it sounds like Google is really betting big on Gemini being the future of, well, everything.
It's a smart bet, wouldn't you say?
For sure. But before we get too carried away with all the amazing things Gemini can do, we need to talk about the potential downsides, the risks, the what ifs. Because with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Absolutely. And Google is taking that responsibility seriously, which is good to see.
Okay, so what are they doing to make sure Gemini is used for good and not, for evil?
Well, for starters, they're putting Gemini through rigorous testing to make sure it's not biased or spewing out harmful content.
That's good to hear because we've all seen what can happen when AI goes wrong. Remember that chatbot that went rogue on Twitter a few years back? Yeah, not a good look.
Exactly. That's why it's so important for companies like Google to be transparent about how they're developing and testing these AI models.
Yeah.
They need to be held accountable.
Transparency is key. And it's not just about preventing the bad stuff, it's also about making sure AI is used ethically and responsibly, because this technology has the potential to impact every aspect of our lives, from the way we work to the way we interact with each other.
Absolutely. We need to have those conversations now before it's too late.
Yeah.
Because the future of AI is not predetermined. It's up to us to shape it.
So we've talked about all the cool stuff, the potential upsides, and even some of the risks of this crazy, powerful AI.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It really is. And I think what's really sticking with me is this idea that Gemini isn't just some like fancy tool. It feels different. It's like with previous AI, it was always us using it. But Gemini feels more like a partner, a collaborator. Does that make sense?
It does. And it's a distinction a lot of people are making. Because it's not just about what Gemini can do, it's about how it changes our relationship with technology. It's like, suddenly, we're not just telling machines what to do, we're working alongside them.
Exactly. And that's both exciting and a little intimidating, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Because it forces us to ask some really big questions, like, what happens when AI isn't just a tool, but a creative partner? What will that mean for art, for music, for the very way we express ourselves?
It's like we're on the verge of this whole new era of human creativity, one where we're not limited by our own, like, biological hardware.
Precisely. And it's not just about creativity. What about fields like science and medicine? Imagine having AI partners that can help us solve some of the world's most complex problems.
Or even just like everyday life. How will Gemini change the way we communicate, the way we learn, the way we work?
Those are the questions we need to be asking ourselves right now,
Yeah.
because the answers are going to shape the future, and it's up to us to decide what that future looks like.
It's a lot of responsibility, but also like a huge opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good note to end on. Gemini is here. It's evolving faster than we ever imagined, and it's up to all of us to make sure it's used to create a better world.
So, to everyone listening, as you go about your day, think about this. How could AI like Gemini change your world, your job, your life? The future is unwritten and the possibilities are endless. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into Google's Gemini. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the cutting edge of AI with us. Until next time, keep asking those big questions and keep diving deep.